Hello, Targar friends. Yes, it's a return of Orca mode training, a kind of the term I used to use for a long time. We're going to bring that back because I kind of like it, especially given that the type of training I'm doing at this point looks very much almost similar to my version of almost HIIT type training, or similar to Dorian Yates training, whatever we want to call it. But again, borrowing from some of those concepts, some of those ideas. So what I did today, I decided let's go ahead and do this split with chest and back. It lets me superset stuff. It lets me get these workouts done shorter. And I'm going to do 6 exercises a muscle group, but I'm going to go real hard, especially some of the second sets. A lot of this stuff is, other than a couple of sets in here, everything is either to failure or right on the bleeding edge of failure to when I'm grinding through a rep, or I do rest pause. And so what I did for the benching, I did really 6 hard sets, and I felt like I didn't have another rep in the tank when I did the 6th one. Same thing here, I went ahead and did 8 reps on the wide grip pull up with 30 pounds. Now I did sets of 8 last time I did these with 25, so I went at 5 pounds. I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and go hard on the last set on both of these movements, because I'm going to do 2 sets of 3 exercises for every basic body part. And I think tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and posterior chain, and I'm going to do shoulders, and then we'll have an arm day and a leg day. All right, the second set of benching, I went everything I had, right? I did a really hard 6 rep, I even tapped the uprights. It shows you my bar path was shifting. Did rest pause, rested a few seconds, unracked it, went for another pause rep, right? Got it, re-racked it, did the same thing. For me right now, especially just where I'm at with the training, those 6 rep sets are hard. So this pretty much took it to the edge, and I can honestly say my chest hurt after doing this. Okay, my chest hurt. Now, and I am aware that people are like, you've done 6 before with 315. Yeah, with an arch, a closer grip, wrist wraps, belt, all that stuff. This is real wide grip, flat back. I'm making this as hard as possible. All right, pull-ups, doing my wide grip. Notice I'm focusing just on making sure I get the stretch at the bottom. With this wide grip, I can't really get higher even with body weight, and that's okay, don't care. My back is well developed. I know that those lengthened positions work for my back. So I put a 45 on here. I managed to get 5 reps, and then I did a rest pause and managed to squeeze out 1 more. Now, granted, this is pretty much a pull-up PR for me. I've done chin-ups with more. I've done 3x10 with chins with that weight. All right, incline. I'm noticing that set of bench took a little bit out of me, so I want to really push the incline hard. I don't want to go under 225. So I'm like, let me just do 2 real hard sets with 225, try to pause them, try to be strict. The first set I managed to get 6, and it felt like at best 1 rep in reserve, probably not. The next set, pretty much I was ready to take it to failure. I was either going to take it till I did a grindy rep or until it hit the pin. So notice I'm setting my safety pins real close on this stuff because I want to push the sets hard. So the next set, I pretty much barely could grind through the last rep. All right, so I decided to superset that with strict barbell rows. These do a lot for me. Trying to do these super strict, right? So I'm bending down, trying to use very little body English, keeping it as strict as possible, getting that stretch at the bottom. The main thing for me is making sure that my scapula come apart, okay? Strict movement, lengthened positions, going into that stretch, and then pulling from that stretch with no cheating, trying to minimize that. Again, control. Notice I failed the 8th rep. I'm counting that as 7. I couldn't get it to my chest. And for those who are curious, yeah, I do try to go to my lower chest on rows. I do not believe in the whole stomach rowing thing. But again, the focus being getting that stretch. All right, for this, the 5th rep was really hard. So I'm going to keep working on building the incline back up. I know it's going to come up just from doing it. But like I said, the 5th rep, I didn't think I was going to be able to lock it. I was prepared to let it hit the pins if I had to. And of course, that was the goal, either do a really grindy rep. Notice I couldn't lock it. Then I managed to squeeze through and lock it. That rep felt like 5 seconds to me. Notice I'm a little fatigued there. So again, we're training hard. We're going to keep the volume real moderate, and we know if this works. Anyone who says 6 sets didn't produce extremely large amounts of growth in the lab and advanced lifters hasn't looked at the studies. And I've seen it happen in the real world. So I'm like, let's just run with it. I'm going to run with it. but I'm still going to do an arm day. That's where I'm going to be different than like a 3 days setup. I'm going to do 4 days. I'm going to have a dedicated arm day because my arms need the most work. So I'm going to really come in. Same thing. I'm going to hit them from 3 really intense angles. I have the preacher bench now. All right, the rows I hit failure again. I managed 7 and I couldn't get an 8th rep. All right, we threw something new in. Why? I have an arm day. I have a tricep day. People say, I thought you'd never do flies. And I'm like, well, I feel like my chest could use the extra stretch position. And I haven't done flies in years. Not real flies with dumbbells. So I'm like, well, let's get in and hammer these too. The first set, 8 reps, felt really hard, but it's a novel movement. So I managed to get 12 on the second set, just FYI, and then I failed. So I tried to get a 13th rep. I couldn't, so I just brought the elbows in and turned it into a press. Again, the same thing, novel response in the chest. I felt a really deep stretch I'm not used to. Felt good. Felt like my chest really got a lot of work from these 6 sets, but they were all hard. So, I mean, a rest pause, a couple of them, 1 weapon reserve at most, maybe 0. Rest pause on 1, grinding through a rep on another, hard set, then a failure set. So that's where we went. We pretty much took all the rowing to failure. So I supersetted that with 1-arm dumbbell rows. Last time I did 95s for 10s, but I also did more work first. So I'm like, this is less total sets. These will be easier. And I decided to go back. You guys have seen me do these where I bend over like this. I've had to compare back and forth. And I just feel like for me, I feel like I can get a better stretch and it cramps my stomach a little less, my abs a little less. So I'm doing the same movement, but notice it again. We stretch all the way at the bottom. Notice I roll down and stretch and I bring it up to my armpit. Okay. So again, same thing, we took these to failure. I failed on rep 11, so I managed to get 10 and then I got 9. So I let the weak arm lead, I let the left arm lead, and then I just try to replicate it with the right. And we're going to be doing some of that on some, maybe I think preacher curls and stuff. Because I think I'm going to do all my bicep work with dumbbells because I have that previous bicep tear. My God, it's been 20 years at this point, over 20 years. Holy crap. Right at. So I want to make sure that the dumbbells will force me to use both arms equally, right? And I'm not saying dumbbells balance out imbalances when done together because your bad form will still make it worse. But with like a dumbbell curl, I think we can definitely get that. So I do want to do it that way just to ensure the even loading. All right, that one hit failure. It came down and I couldn't get another rep. So we just brought it into a press and pressed it up and finished it. All right, last set of rows, I managed to get 9 reps. Again, the same thing, back grip, everything got worked tremendously. So I've had some people say, are you going to do any extra forearm working? Guys, I'm doing a ton of pulling. Because I think on the posterior chain days, I'm probably going to do a deadlift and an RDL now. I think my grip is pretty well sorted. I mean, worst case, I guess, on an arm day, I could add some forearm work. You know, I could if I really need to. I'll think about it. Right now that that's come up, it's like, is it really that hard for me to add a couple sets of wrist curls? Probably not. Just like I threw in calves on my leg day. Yeah, we could probably do that. I'll think about it. Again, posterior chain and calves, though, until they're pretty much on point. So again, the goal, get thicker, get bigger, proportion out, keep getting leaner, bring that waistline down. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.